The Sea Dogs sit and wait. The Leafs are waiting until next year, and I can't wait. It's the PGA Championship this week. All that and more at Sports QuaranTV. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sports QuaranTV. Chris, Dobson and Gerry Green. Thanks for tuning in. We've got a great show, Gerry. I know you weren't here last week, but thanks again to Adam for filling in. Yes. Tough shoes to fill, but he handled a great job. We've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on, and we've got to start off the hop with what happened with the QMJHL and the St. John Sea Dogs.
I feel so sorry for the St. John Sea Dogs in regards to being the host of the Memorial Cup and have to sit, I think they said 38 days before they get to play again. So it's a lot of practice time, but they're only themselves to blame, Chris. I mean, you're taking on a Rimouski team that played with a lot of heart and had a hot goaltender. But as we know, the St. John Sea Dogs went into the playoffs, Chris, with a 15-game winning streak, and they lose 3 of 5 in a best of 5 against a team that finished well below them. Hockey is a random game, as I've always said, Chris, and a hot goaltender. They made a change. Beausoleil for Rimouski made a change after game 3. And got a victory in game 4 to force to game 7. And, you know, that's what can happen. 2 quick goals from Rimouski. Also, then in game 5, which is the deciding game, and we're going to talk about that, then plants the seed inside the Sea Dogs' head. Oh, geez, right. We're in trouble here. We're going to press a little bit more, and press they did.
You're right. And to me, you know, your first sentiment right off the top, I do feel for the St. John Sea Dogs because I know what I know the effort they put forward. I know what Trevor Georgie did behind the scenes to put this team together. And, you know, it's a heartbreak. It doesn't mean it's the end of the line, though, because we've seen situations before where the host team has been eliminated in the first round to come back and win it all. Where I feel things kind of went sour, which is unfortunate. And, you know, Serge Beausoleil is absolutely public enemy number 1 or 2 here in Moncton. If you're a Wildcats fan, people don't love him. That being said, he flat out coached Gordie Dwyer, plain and simple. He was a better coach. Your big guns didn't get it done when you needed to get it done. But something outside of the hockey realm was an interesting piece to me that I noticed, and I'm not sure if you saw it or not. Did you get a chance to see the attendance, Gerry, during the season, during the series? Numbers were down. They were averaging like 2,000 fans, and I was like, something's not right there. Like, there's no reason why, you know, TD Station wasn't packed, why the barn wasn't full. I feel for them. You know, this is a great time of year, and with all the great hockey that's going on, fans missed out. But going back to the on-ice product, you know, you're right. They ran into a hot goaltender. So what you do now at this point is, and I'd actually sent Trevor a message afterwards, and I'd said, you know, tough loss, but use it as fuel. You know, you never want to see this, but your guys, keep them intact. At this point, it's on Gordie and the rest of the team to keep, you know, give them a couple days off, let them take it all in, but put them on the ice and put them in game type scenarios and make sure that in a month from now or 38 days, when this tournament starts, which we will be at, that everybody is ready to go. There is no need for this. Use this time for everyone to heal, get any injury that was taken out of the place, get them ready to go, and have, like, when that puck drops for that first game in front of a home crowd in St. John, that place better be packed.
Chris, this is the problem I have. No other team that might have got bounced in the first round did so in a best of 5. Best of 5. If it was a best of 5, the Toronto Maple Leafs would be on to the next round. I don't appreciate that the Q decided to get their 68 games in and then reduce the playoff rounds to best of 5 until you got to the final, which is a best of 7. You look at the WHL and the OHL, they've all been best of 7s. They started earlier. Now, whether or not they shortened up the regular season schedule, I don't know. And, you know, I've acknowledged the Q and all the great things they've done during the last 2 years. But this one really bothers me. And it really bothers me for St. John in regards that a team like they could come back from a 3-2 deficit. They did great on the road. They go to and get another chance at it. Here it's so definitive that you lose the third game of a best of 5 and you're out and you're sitting on the sidelines. No other team in 2012, Shawinigan had best of 7s to play, and so did Windsor in 2017. I really am irritated about that. It will continue where I think Bathurst is facing elimination against Charlottetown, and the first 2 games are in Charlottetown. So how do you rebound from something like that? You're sitting on the edge the whole time in a best of 5.
I fully agree. And that was a great transition because I want to go to the Bathurst Charlottetown series because, you know, that Bathurst Halifax series in round 1 was extremely exciting. And to see, Bathurst going in again, no surprise. Charlottetown was pegged to be a potential President's Cup champion. So, kudos to them. There's no shock there. However, I fully agree with you. This best of 5 nonsense is crazy. Now, again, it's the same. If you have home ice advantage in a best of 5, what a difference maker. What a difference maker. And
St. John lost the first one.
Right.
But then they got it back, and you knew they would.
Right. So overall, your thoughts on the Charlottetown Bathurst? Do you think there's any chance Bathurst can come back out of this? I know that as we're recording right now, I believe that game is happening.
Right. You are correct. And it's a lot easier to come back from 2 down against, well, not say easier. More of a chance to come back against Halifax because of Bathurst's success against Halifax this season. But against Charlottetown, and Charlottetown looks like they're ready. They easily took care of Moncton, and that's fine. You thought
Which was
there might
expected.
be a little hiccup. Yes, there might be a little bit hiccup in game 1 or game 2 that Bathurst could steal one on the island, but they couldn't. So then Bathurst has to come home, Chris, and sit on the edge and try to win their 2 at home before a game 5, which would go all the way back to Charlottetown. I just don't think these short series are fair to the players. They went through a 68 game schedule. Why did they have to do that? Why didn't we have best of 7s? I have a real problem with it, and I feel for these short series and how teams get eliminated very quickly. 2 very good teams, Bathurst and St. John, sitting on the sidelines right away.
Q fans, you heard Jerry's opinion. I'm wondering if you agree or not. I'd love to hear in the comments on the YouTube video. Let's move on. Let's talk about the National Hockey League. Jerry, I want to get your thoughts on round 1 of the wrap-up. Overall, are you shocked? Did anything surprise you?
The only team that had home ice advantage for game 7 that didn't win, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Carolina had it at home. The Rangers had it at home. Washington, Florida won in 6. Edmonton had it at home. Calgary had it at home. First of all, Chris, the game 7s, you love a game 7. As everybody says, it's my favorite 2 words, game 7. And what a great overtime time it was. And you had a couple of them in one day. And then you had the next day, you had a couple more. I'm not surprised by any of the outcomes. I thought Carolina was a good team. I'm not surprised that they had more depth than Boston. Do the Rangers beating Pittsburgh surprise me a little bit? I thought the Rangers could be an up-and-coming team, but with Crosby and Malkin playing so well as they did and took a 3-1 series lead, and then Crosby gets injured, that's the major turning point there. So the Rangers have to be fortunate to get through to the next round, but they have the potential and the momentum to be very scary against Carolina in the next round.
See, you know what? I agree with that. And I think, plus don't forget, Shesterkin didn't play the greatest in round 1, and everybody knows what he's capable of. So, you're going to expect a better series from him. But that being said, don't sleep on the Carolina Hurricanes. They're a young team. They're very potent. Their offense is fantastic. As a Habs fan, I don't like Carolina, but at the same time, I love their players.
Yeah, here we go.
No. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say, other than, the Leafs played 7 more games than the Habs, and hey, that's it. That's all it took.
What about game 7 in Toronto? Did you think the Leafs played well enough to win? I thought they did play well enough to win, but you see the championship pedigree that Tampa has, where Vasilevsky will stand up and do what he needs to do. Maybe it wasn't spectacular looking, but steady and consistent. And look at where they got the scoring from. Their third line did all the scoring. Nick Paul, who they picked up from Ottawa for Joseph,
Matthew
Joseph. And what does he do? Scores the 2 goals to give them the victory. And that's what Tampa Bay does so well, Chris. They fill in those gaps where they lost the Goudreaus and those guys in their bottom 6, and they fill them in with other guys that they like. And that's what makes them a champion.
Tampa is one of the greatest developing systems in the National Hockey League. They do it well. They draft well. They grow well. They mesh well, and they bring them into the National Hockey League together well. That being said, these guys have played a lot of hockey in the last 3 years, and at some point, you got to think they're going to hit a roadblock. I honestly thought, in general, Florida was going to give them stiff competition, and I hope they do. I'd like to see Florida continue to roll. I'm a Florida fan right now. But overall, you're right. Tampa just showed everybody in the National Hockey League that they are the real deal. And to answer your first question you asked me before we got here was, did the Leafs do enough to win? And look, I wholeheartedly thought they were going to get through. I thought this was the year, and I was waiting for all my Leaf friends to start blowing up my phone and telling me, but every time it happened and every time they got scored against, I looked them all dead in the face and just go, I hate to see it. You
Yeah.
hate to see it.
Surprised St. Louis beats Minnesota the way they did.
Yep,
I thought
agreed.
Minnesota had the ingredients to be good. I'm not surprised Colorado gets by Nashville with no problem, but then they sit for a while. And I don't like this 4-game sweep stuff for any team that's
Right.
trying to win a championship. They say, oh, well, it's good to rest your bones and stuff like that. But then there's that other stuff that goes on in regards to the way Tampa was able to see that they've got their swagger back and beat Toronto, a very good team, and have to play Florida. And I think that's the difference between Florida, who's very good, and Tampa, who is very good. I think it's mentality rather than physicality.
So with a minute to go left in NHL talk, I got to talk to you about how excited you are to see the Battle of Alberta in a 7-game series.
Yeah, this is going to be good. The only unfortunate thing is there's only 2 Canadian teams left, and you're going to lose one of them. That's the only thing. But as far as I can tell, from what I saw from Dallas, Chicago or Calgary against Dallas in the first round, Calgary puts pucks to the net. So Smith better be ready because they peppered the Dallas goaltender. And that's the only reason it went 7 is the goaltender that the Dallas Stars had to keep them in the games, low scoring games. So Calgary's used to that sort of stuff. But here, Smith better be ready because I think it's going to be coming down to goaltending. I think both of them are built almost identically. With good scoring power up front and good depth players down the lineup and decent defense. It's going to come down to the goaltending. Calgary continues to throw pucks at the net. Smith better be ready.
I fully agree and echo every sentiment you have, but Calgary was built for the postseason. I think this is exactly what they did. So either way, it's going to be a lot of fun. Who's going to come out on top? Either way, everybody in Alberta is going to have a great time. All right, let's move on, Jerry. We've got 3 minutes to go here. We got to talk about the PGA Championship. It is this weekend. The odds came on out. Your boy Scotty Scheffler, 11-1. Him and John Rombo sitting at 11-1 to win this whole thing. Do you think he goes back to back here?
It's funny, Chris. It's not funny, but it's interesting. The show after that we were going to record that. For whatever reason, we didn't after the Masters, and I'd picked Scheffler, and I wanted to pound my chest and say how much I liked him and how consistent he had been to start the seasons thus far. But again, he and Jordan Spieth were just at the Byron Nelson, which was held in Texas, very hot and windy there. This tournament's in Oklahoma. Now, the hills aren't as bad. We're going to talk about Tiger here in a minute for him to walk that. But it's going to be hot and humid again and windy. They're used to that. 2 Texas boys. I'm going to back those 2 guys. Scheffler and Spieth are going to be my favorites for the PGA Championship this weekend.
Okay, interesting. Because I was going to go Spieth and DJ. Those are the guys that I think is going to happen. DJ sitting 18-1. I think the odds are right now, and then Spieth is at 20-1. There's just something about this. You talked about Spieth, and I think you're right. I think the weather plays a factor. I think Spieth is ready for this tournament. I just you never know. But I don't know. Go ahead.
But Chris, a year ago, we would have thought, okay, is Tiger or Mickelson going to be playing in that PGA Championship in May of 2022? I say, well, geez, Tiger's not going to be playing there. But it's
but Phil would be.
And I'm very disappointed, Chris, in that Mickelson hasn't come out and said something. The stuff, and a new book came out about him today, and they say he is a guy that thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. But I'm really disappointed with the fact that he hasn't come out and said something about why he's not appearing.
Yeah, there's something going on there that the rest of the world doesn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the PGA side of things keeping him quiet, or if that's Phil. I guess we'll never know at that point. But at the same time, I agree with you. I think it's extremely odd that somebody of his caliber, who was very outspoken the last few years with the media, was very friendly, had absolutely no problem going out there and saying the things he did to put the spotlight on himself. Look, he's a hell of a golfer, and the PGA not having him around sucks, plain and simple.
Right.
But that being
Chris,
said,
tell me this now. Just quickly,
we got 30 seconds.
I want to get your opinion. Can your boy win this tournament?
According to him, he can. The interview was great. They asked him.
I'm asking you.
Got it in you. I think he'll make the cut. I do.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if he could win this thing, but I never bet against Tiger. It's just something you don't do. At the end of the day, it's Tiger Woods. It's a major tournament, and he's ready to go. He's fired up. And before we fire this thing away, producer King, he's taken Shane Lowry on this whole thing. So I'm excited. It's PGA Master Weekend. Well, Jerry, it's time to debate this. And we're going to start, of course, with the Toronto Maple Leafs, because there's so many things speculating right now. And I want to get your honest opinion. We have to talk about it. Is it time for the Leafs to make significant changes in the offseason?
Well, we've always talked about their hamstringed about the fact that they don't have the money to maneuver because they have the 4 big guys up on the front that are getting big money. Chris, they weren't that far away from winning. I mean, they were pretty darn close. I think the effort that they put in Game 7 was there, and a chance for them to win without the experience of Tampa and the goaltending of Tampa to hold them off. So what can you do? I mean, you've got the bottom six is what you could deal with, I guess. You're not going to change the coach, Chris. Look, he's taken them to the playoffs 3 years. He's got a winning percentage over .650. I mean, you got to admit Dubas has done a good job in acquiring in bits and pieces as the season. He still hasn't found the right chemistry. And, of course, Brendan Shanahan's the boss of Dubas. So who's going to fire Brendan Shanahan except the board of governors or whoever it might be for the Toronto Maple Leafs? So I think, as hard as it might be for Leaf fans, and again, Dubas is going to tinker with the lineup in the bottom six. But other than that, you're getting there, but you're not there yet.
I'm just going to spew out some numbers. That's all I'm going to do. And that is now 6. That's the number of years in a row the Leafs have lost in the first round. 10. That's the number of games they have lost consistently with an ability to close out a series. They're 0-10. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying as far as significant changes go, you don't have to blow the whole thing up, but something needs to give. You have to. Fans are clamoring for this at this point, and they have every right to be angry. So as far as I'm concerned, I saw a great comparison this week in regards to someone talking about the Leafs and what they need to do. And, yes, they have all the talent in the world. The big question mark remains is what are they going to do with John Tavares? It's time to move him out of the center and make him a winger full-time on Matthews' wing. Not saying that Bunting didn't do a good job, but it's time to move John Tavares. If you're going to have that success, he's got to go. If not, let's take a page out of the Toronto Raptors book. Look, you think they wanted to trade DeMar DeRozan? No, they didn't, but they went out and traded him for Kawhi Leonard, who brought in a title. It's time for someone to go like for like. Yeah. If you look at the Leafs right now as a whole, it's, you're right, Jerry. This is the best playoff series they've had. But of course, all their fans are going to clamor and whine. We got a bad draw. Well, guess what? That's life. Deal with it. You're right. You get back-to-back Stanley Cup champions in the first round. And overall, that sucks. But if you barely beat Tampa, you're not going to beat Florida. You're not going to beat Colorado. So you're still missing something. I don't think you have to blow it up, but you have to make changes. That's all I'm saying. That's my argument.
Yeah, the first round is not a championship round. It's just to continue your life through a long, treacherous voyage to Lord Stanley's Cup. So, but it seems over and over again, they harp about the fact they don't get out of the first round. But still, Chris, I think the management group, be it the coach, the general manager, and the vice president, or whatever Shanahan does, you're not going to get rid of them. They've been doing a good job. No. I think it's more mentality than it is physicality with the team that they have.
You got to remember, Austin Matthews is a few years away from that contract being over. Yeah. Ironically, right around that same time, Arizona was getting a brand new building. So don't think for 2 seconds that rumor is not going to float around. And if not, I'm the guy who's going to start it right now. All right, let's move on. Topic number 2. Is it time for Jays fans to hit the panic button? Is there need for concern at this point in regards to if they don't make the playoffs? Will the offense be the reason it doesn't happen?
Yeah, as they always say in baseball, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I know we're about 35 games in, but there is time for concern. They had lost 4 series in a row. But, I think we don't value enough what Teoscar Hernandez does batting behind Vladdy Guerrero. When you don't have Hernandez there, if you don't have the Bichette, Guerrero, Hernandez trio at 2, 3, and 4, I think it leaves the other teams opportunities to pitch around Guerrero. It's been talked a lot about Vladdy, a little bit down in numbers, but he's batting 285. He's got some home runs. He's got some RBIs. He's playing good positional ball. They're playing good defense, but the offense, yes, has stumbled, but it's a long road. I took a look at the New York Yankees, Chris, and they're off to a great start, but you know what? They've played 10 games against the Baltimore Orioles already. Now, in your division, don't you play each guy 19 times? Well, they got 3 more again this week, so it'll be 13 games they've had against the Orioles, and they've been launching them. Stanton and Rizzo and Judge are launching the ball. That's the way baseball, you can get on a streak. And as they said last night in the broadcast, one guy gets hot and it seems to get contagious. So I'm not worried about it.
And it's, the only thing I'm going to agree with there is you are right. The one thing that Jays have is once things are contagious in that dugout, you can tell that team's having a good time, and they've proven it time and time again. However, I go back to the offseason. when the Jays let Marcus Semien go. And Jays fans were like, don't need him. Vladdy's going to put up Hall of Fame numbers. We don't need him. That was a good move. No, the Toronto Blue Jays screwed up. And I will say this right now offensively. There was a line that we were talking before we started recording here, and it was said best. I love the defense being played at third base right now, but Matt Chapman needs to bat better than 185. It's just not, something's not right. You can't rely on Vladdy and Bo. Other players need to step up. Something's not right in Toronto right now. I think you are right. Is there time to turn it around? Yeah, of course there is. There's still 130 games to go. That being said, is it time to slowly start letting that panic set in a little bit? You're damn right it is. I mean, these teams, they were the second World Series favorite contender going into the season.
I know they got 20 wins, Chris. What are they? 20 and 17, something like that.
They're 3 wins
back of the Yankees. The Yankees are going to cool off. The Blue Jays are going to heat up.
7 games back, 30 games into the law.
What I like is the fact they're in the games. They've got good pitching. Pitching's important. Pitching can be more consistent than hitting can be, but hitting gets to be a streaky type of thing, and it's a long way to go. I'm not panicking.
Pitching doesn't mean anything if you can't get the run support. So as far as I'm concerned, the Jays need to figure it out. So as far as Jays can panic, look, I can't say anything because the Red Sox are dirt. But what I'm telling you right now is that the Blue Jays fans, they're 7 games behind the Yankees right now, 30 games into the season. Yeah, it's time to panic. Anyways, let's move on, Jerry. Let's wrap this thing up. It's time to head over to the wrap up. I'm going to start right off the hop. Give me an update from the TELUS Cup, man.
The TELUS Cup is I call it the AAA midget. I mean, they call it the U18 or the midget is what I used to call it.
Get politically correct. Get it politically correct.
Yeah, I know. Moncton Flyers are on a run, Chris. I mean, they went through the playoffs in New Brunswick without losing a game. Won 2 series, didn't lose a game. Went to the Atlantics in Newfoundland. Won all 5 of the round robin games and the semifinals and the finals. Now they're at the TELUS Cup with the best in the country, and they've won their first 3 games, the latest over Magog, who is well known for being a quality team out of Quebec. And they're 3-0 to start. They're in a 2-division, 5-team thing, and the semifinals the playoffs don't start till Saturday. They've got a couple more games left on their schedule. It's out there in Alberta. And Sunday, the finals at 10:30 Atlantic time. Hopefully the Flyers can be in it. They're on a tremendous run right now. Lionel Messi, is he going to come to North America and play soccer, Chris?
I remember I saw this headline float around this week and my mind was blown. There are rumors speculating right now that a report has come out that, Lionel Messi could purchase 35% of Inter Miami in 2023, which is going to bring him here to be a footballer in Inter Miami in 2023 because his contract in Argentina will be up. Man, if this is true, this is massive for the MLS. Absolutely massive. You look at what Lionel Messi has done. Look, he's been on both sides of good and bad stories in the headlines, but seeing a name like him, and you're starting to see some of these bigger names start to float through the MLS. I mean, David Beckham came over and played in LA. Don't forget, Thierry Henry came over. Like this is big for them. And if Lionel Messi comes on over, just bite your tongue because it's a matter of time before you see Ronaldo over here too. But yeah, it looks like his stake could be worth more than $200 million. But that being said, his agent has denied it, so no one knows for sure. But those are the rumors. How wild would it be to see him in the MLS? All right, we talked about the TELUS Cup. Hit me with the Centennial Cup update.
Well, the Centennial Cup is the Junior A National Championship, and representing the Maritimes, the MHL champion, the Summerside Western Capitals, open today in Estevan, Saskatchewan, the 50th edition of the Centennial Cup. They start today. They open up against the Sioux Thunderbirds of the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. That one has 2 divisions and 5 teams, and so they'll go through a round robin there and into some semifinals, and that goes on in Estevan, Saskatchewan. 10 teams there for the first time ever. We wish the Summerside Western Capitals a lot of luck as that tournament continues this week. What about going on with the NFL schedule? It's been released. It's a big affair, Chris. What did you like about it?
Well, I can tell you as a Colts fan right now, I like everything. But as far as, a game I'm looking forward to would have to be week 3 against the Chiefs for multiple reasons. One being I get to chirp one-on-one with our producer, Jason, who's a big Chiefs fan. But I think, obviously I've been chirping him pretty hard on it. But look, Indy's got 2 games against Tennessee this year. I'm just they'll win their division. And as a Colts fan, I'm really excited because of the moves that Ballard made in the offseason. Defense will be one of the best defenses in the entire league. So I'm a little biased when it comes to this, but I'd have to go Colts Chiefs as my game to watch this season. I'm super fired up for it. Big potential conversations happening out of Winnipeg. Your Jets, Jerry, not set in stone yet, but you got to think, could there be a spot for the newly on the unemployment line Barry Trotz behind the bench of the Winnipeg Jets? I knew he flew out there.
It's very odd how Barry Trotz ends up where he is right now. Remember, he was there in Nashville since the get-go, and how what a fixture he was there. And I don't think he left there under good terms. And then Washington signs him, and he has a great season in Washington, and he comes as an interim, I believe. And then they win the Stanley Cup, and they don't even keep him. And then he goes to the New York Islanders. He takes the Islanders to the semifinals, very consistent in the playoffs, and they let him go. But my big picture here is, Chris, Lou Lamoriello's not that crass or cold. I think maybe Barry Trotz is a Winnipeg guy. He was born in Winnipeg. That he's thinking, Barry, look it, I'll let you go. I'll take all the heat for letting you go. Here's an opportunity to go back to your hometown with a very good team. Get rid of Mark Scheifele, and you got a team there. That's a joke.
Going to send Scheifele to Winnipeg, probably.
Barry Trotz
would
be a tremendous fit in Winnipeg. They would love him as a hometown boy. I don't think he'd feel any pressure about being from Winnipeg, and he's got a good core of players there to build on it and maybe take them down the promised road, or down to the promised land, down the Golden Brick Road. So I hope the best, and I hope they do sign Barry Trotz. Oh, yeah, Mitch Marner had a bad week on the ice. What about off the ice, Chris? Bad news in Toronto for him.
All we can say is we can talk about it because he's okay. But a really odd story coming out of Toronto. Mitch Marner had his car carjacked outside of what looked like a movie theater. Apparently he was, carjacked by 3 guys, I think is what I saw. A couple of guys had knives, guns. Again, at the end of the day, right after, of course, they were eliminated. The guy was probably just trying to take his mind off the whole situation and probably going, he was off to see likely Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is probably where he was heading. Comes on out, gets carjacked. Either way, I'm glad Mitch is okay. It was a tough week for the Toronto Maple Leafs and their fans. But either way, yeah, real odd story, but glad he's okay. And, the police will handle everything they have to do. Well, Jerry, that's another great episode in the books for us here tonight. I hope everyone's had as much fun as we've had making it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.